We are talking of facts.
Yeah, sorry, Mheshimiwa Kaguchia,
a lot of
work.
Of time. There's so much work to do there, especially on
a lot of
the figures and the amount of money available, the number of units under construction, what stages are there, because this information is important for the sake of accountability to Kenyans. All right, Mheshimiwa Kaguchia, so the essence of a promise is how you deliver it, and eventually how you get to benefit from it. What is the status of affordable housing in your constituency or county, if you know?
I'll give for Mukurweini constituency.
Yeah.
And this is where I sharply differ with my sister here, Elachi, because she says that.
Why?
Because of course you see the public land that we are using to build these government houses.
Yeah, outside Nairobi. We don't have public land in Nairobi. We have county land, and the government must negotiate with us.
Let me first of all differ with you so that you understand where I'm differing with you. Then you can answer. You know, I've not yet.
It's okay, Mheshimiwa Kaguchia, don't be distracted.
So in Mukurweini, for example, we did offer public land from the county government, and a letter of transfer was done, or more than 1 year ago, from the county government of Nyeri. But these affordable houses have never begun.
How many acres did you transfer?
I think it should be like an acre.
1 acre?
Yeah. That was given to
for how many units?
Well, we're supposed to do 200 units, but even then, they have not begun all this time. And
any explanation why?
Well, I don't understand why. It has been advertised at some point, or it was supposed to be advertised at some point. I have followed through, but as we talk now, the advertisement for these affordable, the construction of these affordable houses has not begun. And this is where I find the government is not able to meet its target. And you need to know that when the government promised to do 200,000 houses per year, the government also went ahead to deduct Kenyans sufficient money to do these houses. 200,000 per year.
Courtesy of Kenya Kwanza.
Are you getting?
When he was there.
Yes, that is a problem. And we at that point actually saw the promise, and we thought that the promise was going to work for the people of Kenya. Are you getting? So, you know, me as Kaguchia have to be honest. I really believed in William's promise.
You mean President Ruto?
Yes, I did believe so much in that promise. And I so much believed that this was going to happen. But now look, as we move on, you realize that out of the 200,000 houses that we promised, we have in 2.7 years, we've only been able to do 4,800 houses. I mean, that is where now again you come now to
his figure offer any solace?
You see, that figure of 130 would neither be here nor there, because he's talking about houses that are not completed. Kenyans are looking at houses that are complete. Number two, even if we were to go with his figure, it only means that then we are doing about 50,000 houses per annum after having promised 200,000 shillings and collecting money for 200,000 houses. Are you getting? That's how much we are collecting from Kenyans. And now the question begs, we are getting free land to construct these houses. The money we are using to construct these houses is coming from Kenyans, not from the government. You know, sometimes we make it appear like it's coming from the government. It's coming from pay slips from Kenyans. Now, after these houses, the 4,800 houses have now been completed, it has come as a shocker to Kenyans that the much they are selling these houses is just as much as the commercial houses are being sold in the city and also around. Yeah, like some of them that were being offered somewhere, I think at the river, a one-bedroom house was being offered at 2 million. Are you getting? Now, that's a big shocker for us and as for Kenyans, because in the same place, a similar size of that, or an equivalent size of that house that is affordable housing is being offered close to the same amount of money. And this land was for free, and the money used to construct was again from Kenyans. So where are we selling these houses almost the same amount, and in some instances even higher? Are you getting? Now, the other question also begs, once we have sold these houses, where is this money going? You know, where is this money going? And this is where I want to help Kenyans, and I also want to help now help the Mr. Ruko's government here. That as we sell these
it's also
houses,
your government.
as we sell these houses,
It's Kenya's government. It's not my.
Sorry, Mheshimiwa Ruko, let him finish.
Can you correct him?
I mean, you should hold this with a badge of
You know,
honor
it
when I
is
say
the
that.
government of the Republic
Yeah.
of Kenya.
He's just,
Why is he pointing out?
he's just
to
said
me
it's your
that
government.
You should hold this with a badge of honor. You should thank you.
It's a
But
government of
let
all
me-
of us.
Let me
Is
focus.
it wrong what he said?
You know, he's
Let me
talking in a
focus.
very.
Let me focus on the
Okay,
issue here.
Mheshimiwa, finish.
The issue here is,
Yeah.
because we have collected so much money now from Kenyans,
Do you know how much it is?
I mean, you can get, sometimes they're not giving us these figures, but we have collected sufficient money to do these 200,000 houses every year. So you can say we have already collected money to do more than 500,000 houses.
But how much would 200,000 units cost to construct, Mheshimiwa?
Well, let me complete this point, then I come to answer your question. The point here is we have collected sufficient money to do more than 500,000 houses today in Kenya. Now, these houses are all going to be sold eventually when they are constructed. Never mind, they might be finished in the next 10 years. Why should we continue deducting Kenyans' money if at all we are not building at that rate and at that pace? Number two, because these houses are going to be sold and we are going to get this money back, why can't we now see the much we have collected from Kenyans is enough, and every other construction will be coming from the revolving fund, from the money that we'll be getting from the sale of these houses, so that we do not have now two collections. We can't be collecting now from the sale of the houses as we continue collecting from the pay slips.
All right.
So we must then take care of the pay slip of every Kenyan by stopping immediately deductions. Then we work with what we have collected.
How would you stop
and how
that?
much we...
How would you stop that? What instrument do you need?
I mean, we just need to do an amendment to the Housing Act that was done.
Affordable Housing Act?
Yeah.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Elachi, the challenge of those numbers, the promise is quite lucrative. It looks delivery, totally different story.
Yes, because this is housing. Kenya is not Tanzania where land is for government. This is everyone has its land. You must have serious public participation before you take any land. So I think that, that is one thing, especially in Nairobi. I will say the planners assumed so many things, and they forgot you cannot just walk in. Fine, you might find it's government land, but people are living there. What happens? You can't just chuck them out the way you are thinking. So one of the things you must take in consideration for them themselves, what they didn't do, is to imagine that you will stay 3, 4, 5 to 6, even to 1 year, negotiating on how. I can see like Makongeni, they have stayed like 8 months negotiating. Is when just recently they have left. But having said that, you see, for us in ODM, we had agreed we shall do this housing thing. Our style maybe would have been different because most of the people in Nairobi are ODM, and we knew you'll have to have a way of doing it. It was with Uhuru, that's why he could not do it, because of compensation. But then now coming to this, I would say in Nairobi at the moment, the sites that are, leave the ones the president was launching last week, because those are now the coming up sites which they were just doing groundbreaking and all that. But then the ones that have now come up, and I want to tell Nairobians, you must go for these houses. One, Shauri Moyo, 80%. It's in completion now, Shauri Moyo. Then you come to Jalasi's
80%.
As in, they have roofed, they have done. It's the nitty-gritties of doing your interior, the small interior that they would wish to do inside.
And have they given time how much it
No,
should take?
I didn't see time, but I walked in and I saw them. They're there
Okay.
at Shauri Moyo. Somebody can go just
So
check.
interior meaning the plastering?
Yeah. Well, they've done the plastering. They've
That is
done the
done.
plastering. So it's like painting and putting in small cupboards and all those. The normal way you do your house, at the finishing of your house.
Okay.
Now, when you come to Jalas's place down at Riara and you move in, it's also going to 70% because they have finished all, they have plastered inside all, now they are finalizing, and there's one down that has started that is now, when you go there, you'll find it quite at a level.
Yeah.
Then now when you live there, the one for KJ side is just starting. So every site has its own way of how they are doing. Outside the...
And do you know how many units you're talking about? Like the Shaurimoya, how many units are we talking about?
The Shaurimoya should be 5,000 or 6,000 something there, units. The one for Jalas here...
506,000 units.
I'm just saying approx. I'm
Sorry.
saying approx. I'll be lying on TV.
Shaurimoya should be?
Roughly 5,000 or 6,000 units.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
5,000 or 6,000.
In Jalas's place, the two might come to 10,000 if you put the two places that are being done. And then the one that was launched now, after they have really negotiated that, the one that it's being called Southlands, that will take quite a huge number of units because it's roughly on a 37-acre land there. But you see, for you to negotiate and remove all those people who are there, it's not an easy thing.
Okay.
Then you move to Madare, the same.
All right.
So, and then we have Ziwani. Ziwani started long before. Started even by the time a former president was still there. And so right now...
So no units, have been allocated, at least within your constituency?
Within our constituency, it's a freehold land. That's what I'm saying. You can only negotiate with the landlords there.
All right.
So in Dagoretti North, no. Unless these private ones that are on this other side.
All right, Mheshimiwa Kakai, tell me, in Kiminini, what is the progress there? Because arithmetically, and this is not based on anything but arithmetic, if you need 200,000 units every other year, and you divide that by the 290 constituencies, you end up with about 689 units per constituency. There are some constituencies you hear here being mentioned that they have 10,000 units, others have 5,000 to 6,000 units. Mukureni, like he says, has 200. So where is equity in distribution of these affordable housing units? You can respond to that as you tell us the situation in Kiminini.
Okay. First of all, at this point, allow me to reveal that I sit on the housing committee.
Oh.
To start with the issues, the bottlenecks. There's been the issue of uptake, the capacity of local contractors. And I think a few weeks ago, when we were looking at the supplementary budget, sitting with the housing team led by the PS Charles Hinga, there were proposals from the committee, and one here, we were saying, apart from just the local contractors, to try and hands on PPPs, the public-private partnerships, whereby if we've got farms that have got the financing, they could also come up and really support so that we could fast track that. The other issue is we've got NHC, the National Housing Corporation, which was created in the 60s with experience in the housing sector, also to be used. We've seen a situation, an example in Embu, where they were given a project and they did it on record time. And also the cost was quite impressive, and even the finishing was quite great. Now, another critical bit is public works. Public Works State Department, really underfunded. But it will be a very critical player in terms of even supporting the State Department for housing. Okay. So where we sit in the housing committee to try and boost this particular State Department, Public Works, so they can also be a partner to try and enhance the rollout and then increasing the numbers. NCA as well, the National Construction Authority, we've also told them to look into the quality bit. Okay. So that they're also all over on site. But critical is not just affordable housing.
How is it in Kiminini first?
Now, allow me just to run through a bit before I get to Kiminini.
It's 804, we need to...
Okay, 804, okay, fine. Yes. Now, in Kiminini, there's the issue of land. You have to avail land. Kiminini is densely populated. We've had challenges of land, but we just identified piece of land. Now we're going to put the units.
So there's none under construction?
There's none, but we just identified the land.
How much land? What's
about 5 acres.
5 acres.
And there was an agreement that in every constituency, they'll put up 200 units for every constituency, depending on the demands.
So Kiminini also is 200 units?
We are looking at 200 units.
Does that bother you,
if not more,
with the national target of 200,000?
It bothers me because, okay, that was the minimum. But with the land I have, I know we could go up to 1,000. But in a nutshell, the advantage of that affordable housing, apart from just the houses, there is the sewer system that will have to be put in place, access roads, water, lighting. There are also advantages.
As soon as you now saying you have 5 acres.
Yes.
Minimum of 200 acres. Do you know how much it will require to put them up?
To put them up, I will take an average per square meter. You're talking about you're talking about 40,000 per square meter per house. And let's say an average flat is about 78 square meters, so that should be about 3.4 million. So an example, if you're assuming that you will do, like, let's say 200 units, an example, to start with on average, that should be about 684 million.
What is the process of getting that money?
The process, I mean, it's through the collected funds. There is a bid that goes out after the land has been identified. A contractor is picked, and that contractor is sent on site.
Contractor?
Yes, a local contractor.
And how do you pay for that?
The houses, once they are constructed, they will be floated. There's what we call bomayangu. If you're interested in a house, and I had my sister be here.
The contractor invests their money?
The contractor, once you bid for a building, you also show capacity that you're able to contract.
Yes, you invest.
So
okay, to invest, yes.
So the contractor will come on site, win the bid, finance the construction with his money.
There are two models. There is the contractor who is paid on certificate. You do the mobilization, you're paid this percentage. And that's why the public works come in. And that progress continues.
I'm asking currently what is happening?
Currently,
that's a model they use.
That is the model now. It is the contractor. You're paid progressively as you move. But we are saying, if you brought in a financier through the PPPs, some of them could also come in with their funding. And if we get even more of those, that is probably a model that in the future we'll think of saying, let's stop this. Let's stop these deductions and think of PPPs.
And at the housing committee, do you know how much money has been collected so far?
I do not want to talk on national television on the figures I don't have. Let me admit that I don't have those figures now.
The housing committee has not.
But what I know as of last month, there was some, I think, about 30 billion that has not been utilized. 30
billion has not been utilized, but you don't know how much money has been collected since.
So far, I don't want to.
Although it was 30 billion last year, not now.
Okay.
But Kaguchia, would you be saying the same if you hadn't moved from government?
Again,
we
have work.
We are talking of facts.
Yeah, sorry, Kaguchia,
a lot of
time. There's so much work to do there, especially on the figures and the amount of money available, the number of units under construction, what stages are they, because this information is important for the sake of accountability to Kenyans. To the question of the affordable housing program, because the promise, which Mheshimiwa Kaguchia sold very eloquently, that the government would ensure that there's at least 250,000 affordable housing units every year. Later on, the explanation was that already the market was providing 50,000 units. So the question was on how they bridge the gap of 200,000. Now, since August 2022 up until early this year, only 4,888 units were ready, according to the figures of the government, including the president himself. Mheshimiwa Ruku, what has been happening? What is the challenge here with affordable housing? You're not meeting your targets or the pledges?
Not getting near.
What the information I have, Sam, is that we have about 130,000 units which are under construction at the moment.
Under construction?
Yes. And
what stage of construction?
Different stages of construction. Different stages of construction. Some of them complete.
No. If you're under construction, you're complete. You're no longer in that category.
130,000 units of housing, affordable housing under construction, and they are all in different stages.
There's not even a range, like
in Nairobi, we have units which are probably 60%. We saw where the president went.
What does 60% mean? Just to know what you're saying.
60%? They may have different meaning depending on if you visit and see.
You know what you're saying. So you're saying some units in Nairobi are 60% completion. What does that mean?
Sam, let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer. Okay?
Okay, fair point.
So don't ask me on What I need to tell you is the information which I have.
Carry on.
Is that 130,000 units
Under
of
construction.
affordable housing are under construction, and
that's
different.
still below the 200,000 revised promise
Below
per
what?
year.
Yes, it is below the what was promised, but the thing is, are we on the right trajectory as far as providing the affordable housing to Kenyans? The answer is yes. That is what is more important. Okay,
What does right trajectory look like?
In 2022, Sam, we had only 8,000 units of affordable housing. Within 2 years, we are talking about 130,000 units, which are under
So
construction
8,000
at
units,
different stages.
8,000 units were under construction, or what was the status?
Yes, in 2022.
2022.
By the time this administration was coming to power, under the previous administration, we had 8,000 units under construction. Okay, and some of them are complete, of course, at the moment, but it's a huge leap from 8,000 units to 130,000 units. So we are in the right trajectory. We may not have hit the 200,000 mark, which you have just quoted, but per year, but we are headed in the right direction. Of course, implementation of any program has its own challenges, as Mheshimiwa Kaikai has just pointed out. So these are some of the challenges. Of course, the running curve is there. You know, as you perfect the implementation of the program, you tend to increase the pace on the number.
Do you know how much money has been collected through the affordable housing levy?
We can check.
You don't know how much it is?
We can check.